All right. So here in this lab, as I mentioned before, we are going to be working with deploying and testing a custom chat application with PostgreSQL. Okay. So think about a practical real world example where it's going to be like a retail customer support agent. So what I'm going to be doing here is that, as I told you before, we are going to be using Azure database for PostgreSQL, which functions as the vector database, storing all the operational data, knowledge base, embeddings, and the chat history here. Followed by that, I'm going to be coming up with Azure OpenAI service that I will be using. So this is the foundation model. We're going to be using GPT Turbo for chat completion and the text embedding as well to generate some vector embeddings at top of it. And then we have the Azure Container Apps that's going to be having the front end and the back end, fast API with the chat application. And then to store this image, to come up with a Docker image, we will be using Container Registry, the Azure Container Registry. And finally, keeping a track of all these metrics is going to be used with log analytics there. Now, getting back to this Azure portal, I'm going to be creating a resource group first. So let me say I need to create a new resource group. And the name of the resource group can be resource group, just a demo, right? So I'll name it as resource group 1, which can be at East US. Yeah, East US. Let's try creating this. Right, so the resource group is created. Here is the name of the resource group. Let's copy this. I'll have it on my OneNote now. Oops. Yeah, go to text mode, and here is my resource group name. Followed by that, yeah, no need of subscription ID, but the data center region, which is set to be East US. Okay. Now, remember I told you we need a GitHub account as well. So I'm going to this GitHub account and I'm going to be cloning, or I will be forking, okay, a existing GitHub repo that's available. So let me open a new tab, go for this particular repo, and I would request you to go have a deep sense on this repo. Okay, I'm going to be briefing this. This is what we will be deploying. So let me say fork it, right? Which is set to be for the rack. Okay, so we go doing this, say create fork. Let's have a copy of this. Okay, now let's go to the code. Remember, I told you I'm not going to be using Visual Studio, instead Visual Studio Code. Instead, I'm using the code space here. I would say go to the code space and create a new code space for me so that I can work, over the light there. So I'm getting up the code space there. Let's wait for this. This is building the code space for us. You can keep a track here. This takes probably some, 4 to 5 minutes of time. You can let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. I'm just checking the chat as well. Can you explain the architecture diagram once again in brief? Jaganraj, I hope you should have followed. I repeated once again. Are you able to follow, or you want me to go ahead once again then? Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah, we'll do that. Yeah. So let me put it up, you know, one moment. Let's write it up here. See, this is exactly what I'm doing. So what we are going to be doing here is that consider we are going to give up a user query. Okay, can you see this? We're going to be generating a user query. So the retailer store will have thousands of product rows, some real inventory levels, and store some, frequently asked questions. So those things are going to be handled, stored at your PostgreSQL here. So we'll be using an extension like PG Vector. Okay, we'll put a product description and we'll be passing this to the OpenAI where I said I'll be using a text embedding. So you have the data ingestion and the embedding phase happening at this particular part. And followed by this, I'm going to be using an execution flow of a live user query. So let's say the user asks a question, okay, over here. A customer types into the storefront chat app, say, I need a, a couple of phones, which are said to be with a model within a budget, something like that. So then it does a vector search in the PostgreSQL then. So to do this, we are going to be doing a chunk, right? The container apps is where you are the front end and the back end that goes. Instead of looking for exact keywords, the database finds the matches that can be based on the intent. So I told you like phones and filtering with a budget price or something. So those things is going to be assembled with the LLM context assembly. The backend pulls the top matching phone, the product rows from the databases, which is said to be on the PostgreSQL, and you're going to forward it to the GPT model then with the turbo. Then you get a final output. The final output is going to be, a natural language again with highly curated response. So that will be directed with an enterprise database once again. So I repeat, to do this, we are using different services. We are going up with PostgreSQL, which is said to be a knowledge base. They use text embedding and the GPT turbo model, okay, to do chunking of data and calling up, the top matching product to be called up. So simply the LLM context assembly that's done with the help of the Azure OpenAI and the container apps, which can host the front end and the back end applications that you have. You will be then having the container registry on which your Docker image will be stored. Okay, and to keep a track of all these things, we are going to be using a log analytics, the metrics that gets spent up then. So this is the end-to-end part. I can share the same flow for you over the chat as well. Yeah. All right. Hi Danny. Why do we use GitHub today and Visual Studio yesterday? Pretty simple, Danny. We had compatibility issues with the packages, the Python packages. I saw a lot many people having those problems, so we are preferring to go with the code space today. Well, yeah, Sergey, go ahead. You have some question? No, I'm not using VS Code. I'm using Code Space. I've just forked it and I said go to the code, create a code space here. So that's like you get your SDK to be over the cloud then. So it's not on my local, but I'm using it over the cloud so that I don't have problems to install any library files for. Yeah. You need this repo. You can. You will be doing it when you work with your labs. So just hold on. maybe some another 15, 20 minutes, right? Once when I'm done with this, you could find it there. I still have the repo. Yeah, I'm sorry. I still have the repo shared on the chat here. Yeah. Thank you, Lakim. Thanks for adding that. Now we have the code space, which is set to be up, and it installs, the all the necessary libraries that it's needed. So this makes it pretty simple. You don't need to worry about getting your environment to be up, installing all the local packages that's set to be needed, and we do have like GitHub Copilot that comes that can help us out when you go with the deployment thing. Now with this, I'll go to the infra here, and I want to brief you about the bicep file that you can find here. Can you see this? We have main.bicep. So this is your infra template, I would say. This is gonna move ahead. We are not gonna open Azure portal, clicking on hey, create a PostgreSQL, create a container apps, create a Azure container registry. No, we are not gonna do that. Instead, we are gonna be working with this bicep file that you find here. And to make this pretty simple, I'm gonna be having my one sec. I have my local environment on which I have this file with me. Let me open it up. Yeah. Okay. So getting back to this on screen, please. I have this template with me. So we are referring that we will go with deploying. If you could scroll this down, we have the Postgres server name with the prefix, right? We have a service principal. We are saying that it has to be deployed on a resource group, giving up a storage size. We just have the same log analytics to be deployed. Just scroll down when you work on this, right? You can find the OpenAI that we are provisioning up. We do have like container apps and the container registry, which I was speaking about. So I'm going to be taking all these steps, okay, and let's go ahead and replace this content towards the main.bicep file that you have here. So I'm just replacing this, and thereon followed by this, I'm going to be working across. Let's scroll up. Yeah, you see the target scope to go with the subscription, all those details. So let's save this, just giving Command S or Control S, right? And we could go to the terminal. So let me say, open this in a integrated terminal. You get a new terminal then. So then you can say Azure, right? Authentication login to be performed, AZD. You're going to be connecting this code space with your Azure portal. So you have to copy this code, say copy, and then you get a new browser opened up. Paste this code, right? Click on next and try signing in then. Let's click on continue. So I'm going to be signing in with my Azure account now. Yes, you'll be having the same. Okay, we have logged into Azure and you have the subscription app now. Now I'm going to be, giving a command where we set a new environment. So let's say AZD environment new. and you need to give a new unique name. So let me say rack. Uh, we are using Postgre, okay, SQL with Python, and I would say I'm mentioning code Sizzler, right? CDS. So that will be set as default thing. Followed by this, let's run a command to set the resource group. So say ACD environment set, okay? So this is all I hope you should be knowing. We are setting up variables, okay? Resource group with resource group one, which we created. So let's give this. Yeah, now I could say run AZD up, okay, which can provision all the resource now. This would take time. Okay, this will take at least, I will just show you the things where we need to put up a data center region all. But then it would take at least like 10 minutes of time where I want you people to go ahead and work until this in the meantime. So let's wait. Don't go now. Don't go with that now. Just hold on. I will show you like it's downloading the bicep, right? And it will go asking for a data center region. So let's talk about those things, and then you can start working with it. Yeah. Okay. It's just same like yesterday. What you need to No worries, no worries. It's pretty straight, like what you have been working yesterday. So what you need to do is you have to go for Cloud Weeks dot learn on demand dot net, and here if you could go to the calendar, you can find your training program. Right, just scroll down. You can find the second. So you need to click on launch, and you get this lab up. Then is that okay? Let me know if you're able to follow it, please. Yeah, right. Okay. Okay, still downloading the bicep. See, the next point is that once when the bicep is downloaded, it will be asking us for the data center region, okay, on which you will go ahead, you will give the data center region on which it has to be provisioned in. No, no, just like that. I just thought of using Cosmos DB all, but then it comes on Microsoft Stack, so why not we can try coming up with a third party? That's the reason. Nothing much there. Let me hit enter once again to check this. Yeah. Okay, now the bicep template has been downloaded, and you see that we are able to, you can select a tenant and you can go with, you know, the subscription to be used for it. So let me first say I need a different tenant to go with. So there should be a tenant with developer, Feroz, Outlook. I need this particular tenant where I have my resource group, not this. So it's not changing. Give me a minute. I would better say, let's break this, right? I'm going to be canceling this and would say AZD authentication logout. And now AZ logout then. Then we can try logging in, right? Let's see. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So ACD authentication login with tenant, and I need to give my tenant ID. So let me go here. I can find my tenant ID. See, I have like multiple tenants and subscriptions. You should not find this problem, but in my case, it's different. So I will go to my intra, and I would say I need to log in with this ID. Okay, so let's go with this and give the tenant ID there. Let's give this down. Tenant. Oh, what about easy login tenant? Tenant ID. Yeah. Now it works now. Let's make sense. And I need to go with open new tab, say login.microsoft.com. Oh, no, not this. What is the URL? Login.microsoft.com/device. Slash device. And let's give the code. Yeah, this particular account. Continue. So send in. Huh. Now you see, we can select the subscription. Let me see the first subscription I need to go with. So I'm using Azure subscription one. So with that, I can then say AZD up. Okay. So would you like to log in now? Yes. Do a login. Copy this. Go to the browser then. Sign in again. You would not face this. See, my problem is I have like multiple tenants. So I have these things happening for me. Error loading environment. Context logged in. That should not be a problem. Wait, I will do this again. It should not be a problem. Hold on. So what I'll be doing is I have done login, and I'm going to be saying AZD environment new unique name. Okay, rag. Let's say Postgre with Python and something like CPF Copilot Factory. Yes. So this is created. Now I would say AZD environment set Azure, resource group. Stop me, please, if you see any typo. Let's say resource group one. Let me give up this. So I already have the resource group, and now let's say ACD up. Initializing the bicep provider now. So it asks for the tenant now. Okay, so let's say go with this particular tenant, and yeah, the subscription makes sense. It's asking for the locations. So I would say you need to go with East US. You people, please make sense. You prefer to the data center location that has been mentioned in the document. Okay, so in my scenario, it's different. I'm using my own account. So I would say go with East US once again. and it's going with the deployment state there. So two things that it was asking for. One is to create the resource, you need to select the region. And for the OpenAI location, you need to select, one more region then. Can you see this? The location for infrastructure and for the OpenAI location, where I mentioned East US again. This deployment would take at least like 15, 15 or even beyond that. Let's wait for this. I will let you know once the deployment is completed. I would say we can go on a break now. Will that be okay? Let's go for a break now and let's roll back, once when this deployment gets completed. Yeah. So let's be right back shortly then. All right. The code space has built, the bicep template, which we deployed, and you see all the services which runs on the resource group one now. And as I mentioned before, you have the telemetrics that runs with application insights. You have the log analytics workspace, and you do have like a smart dashboard that has been built. Okay, and it's like shared. It gains insights from your container apps. It gains insights from your container registry and your OpenAI as well. And we do have an action group that's added up here. At top of all these things, you could also see the Azure OpenAI that's involved here. Now, I would say the code space has been timed out. So what you do is that when you deploy a code space, you will get an endpoint. Make sure you go to the endpoint, the front-end endpoint, and you can find, a UI where you can try prompting some question and it gets a response for you then. So now when I say go to the Foundry portal, I would get landed up on this page and we can go to the deployments where you can see the couple of deployments which we have done, the text embedding that we have here and the turbo model that has been deployed too. So this is altogether like how you go with a Foundry. You use PostgreSQL and come up with all the results that you find up over here. Well, this is one thing that you need to try for the lab. I'm just stopping the recording here, and I will go on with the next recording. Then give me a minute.